Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
At this time, we're going to get ready to get started. And put your phone on vibrate, please, or put them on silence or airplane mode. At this time, we're going to get ready to start our service, and we're going to have the blowing of the shofar first by Zarzakan, Gabar Yahuah, and then we're going to have our prayer immediately following by Koti Shema. She's going to come up and pray for us. So at this time, let us stand on our feet. And we're going to turn and face towards the east, looking towards Jerusalem, as we hear the blowing of the shofar and begin to pray to our Yahuah. Facebook page, and you can catch the videos there. We are going to pick up with Ezekiel, the 36th chapter. We're going to start at the 26th verse and read the 27th verse. And we're going to ask Zarzakan Gabar Yahuah if he would get that for us.
You said Ezekiel
36, verses 26 and 27.
Ezekiel 36, verse 26. A new heart also will I give you, and a new ruach will I put within you, and I will take away the stony heart out of your flesh, and I will give you an heart of flesh. And I will put my ruach within you, and cause you to walk in my statutes, and ye shall keep my judgments and do them.
So what's going on here is he's talking about the heart of Yashra'al having a stony heart. So we spoke about last week when Mashiyach came down off of the mountain of Sinai. When he saw what the nation of Yashra'al had done by profaning Yahuah, he took the tablets of stone and he broke them, which would be a sign of Yahuah's covenant with Yashra'al, how he was going to have to break them or break their stony heart and give them a heart of flesh, which will later on signify something. how would he go from taking a stony heart, from which he wrote his covenant on, and make it a fleshly heart and write his covenant on the flesh of their heart, or their heart of flesh? So let's go to 2 Corinthians 3:3.
Second Corinthians 3, verse 3. For as much as ye are manifestly declared to be the epistle of Mashiyach, ministered by us, written not with ink, but with the Yahuah of the living Elohim, not in tables of stone, but in fleshly tables of the heart.
Not in tables of stone, but in fleshly tables of the heart. Very important. Because we're going to see something. Yahuah is using his son, Yahusha, to speak to Yashra'al. And he's very specific with his word choice and his language that he's using. All of this is pertaining to the nation of Yashra'al. Now let's go look at something in Jeremiah 31 and 31, down to Jeremiah 31 and 34. Yahuah, Jeremiah 31, start at verse 31 through 34.
Yirmiyahu, or Jeremiah 31, verse 31. Behold, the days cometh, saith Yahuah, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Yashra'al and with the house of Judah, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day that I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Mizraim, or Egypt, which my covenant they break, although I was an husband unto them, saith Yahuah. But this shall be the covenant that I will make with the house of Yashra'al. After those days, saith Yahuah, I will put my law in their inward parts, and write it in their hearts, and will be their Elohim, and they shall be my people. And they shall teach no more every man his neighbor, and every man his brother, saying, Know Yahuah, for they shall all know me, from the least of them unto the greatest of them, saith Yahuah. For I will forgive their iniquity, and I will remember their sins no more.
Oh, God. So you see what Yahuah is doing here. He's making a covenant, or he has made a covenant with the nation of Yashra'al. That covenant was broken. What was the covenant that he made with the nation of Yashra'al? Remember, when Moses came down off of Sinai, he did not have a body of legislation that consisted of 613 laws. Moshe did not come down with that. How many did Moses come down with?
10.
He came down with 10. He came down with 10. So, when he said he's going to make a new covenant with the house of Judah, or the house of Yashra'al or Israel, and with the house of Judah, what we have going on here now, where you see that word new, it should be noted and understood that that's the wrong word to have there. It simply should be renewed. I think that comes from the Greek, because I didn't look. Is it kainos? Am I right on? Yeah. Yeah. It's from the Greek kainos, which means it's not something new or totally different. It's just a renewed covenant. It's the covenant that he originally made with Yashra'al at Sinai. Now he's going to make that covenant, or renew that covenant, with Yashra'al and Judah. Both houses. So what's taking place is this is how that covenant goes from being written on a tablet or table of stone. Now he's going to write it and put it in on that inward part. And that's the thing, but in order for him to put it on that inward part, something has to happen first. Just like those tables were broken, or those tablets were broken, Yashra'al had to be broken. The fallow ground of their heart, it had to be broken. That's what the parable of the soil of the seed is about. The stony ground is their heart. And see, with Yashra'al, because she was so hard-headed, stiff-necked, and rebellious, what did she need? What had to happen to her to finally bring her, put her in a position, bring her to a place where she can submit to Yahuah and give her heart to her groom? She has to be broken. Let's go on to Hebrews 8, Sergeant Ken. We're going to do verse 9 through 8, Hebrews 8 and 8 through 8 and 12.
Hebrews 8, verse 8. For finding fault with them, he saith, Behold, the days cometh, saith Yahuah, when I will make a new covenant with the house of Yashra'al and with the house of Yahuah, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day when I took them by the hand to lead them out of the land of Egypt, because they continued not in my covenant, and I regarded them not, saith Yahuah. For this is the covenant that I will make with the house of Yashra'al. After those days, saith Yahuah, I will put my laws into their inward mind, or in their hearts, and write them in their hearts, and I will be to them an Elohim, and they shall be to me a people. And they shall not teach every man his neighbor, and every man his brother, saying, Know Yahuah, for all shall know me, from the least to the greatest. How far down you want me to go? 12. Verse 12. For I will be merciful to their unrighteousness, and their sins and their iniquities will I remember no more.
Now, you all see how that said the exact same thing as Jeremiah 31 and 31. So we went from the Tanak, came all the way over to the Messianic teachings, or what we call the brit, Chadasha, New Testament. So you had it in the quote-unquote Old Testament and New Testament. But you ever notice when you went down to verse 33 in Jeremiah 31, 33, and verse 8 of Hebrews 8 and 10, he said, the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, he said, I will put my what? Laws into their mind and write into their hearts, write them on their hearts. Now, he's talking about his people right here. He said, and I will be a Elohim to them. And it said, and they shall be what? To me, or be my people. He's very possessive. And that's why when we do these lessons, it's very important that people pay attention and hone in and look at every word very closely. Mm-hmm. Because if not, what you would do, you'll let your mind go off in left field and go out somewhere it shouldn't, and all of a sudden you get off course and you realize that you lost sight on what he was saying. It's about him and his people. The Hebrew scriptures are about Yahuah and his people.
Moray,
Yeah,
if you don't mind, I would like to just go a little bit to edify a little more,
yeah, go ahead.
Because you spoke on it. So just for everyone, like what he was saying about the new covenant, it's not actually a new covenant. It's a renewed or rebuild. When you look at the word new in the Hebrew, it's the Hebrew word 23 and 19, right? Mm-hmm. Which means Kadesh or Kodash, which means new. It says new, but it's from the Hebrew word, the Hebrew number 23 and 18. So when you go to 23 and 18, it says exactly what Moray said. It says that it's a primitive root to be new causatively to rebuild or renew or repair. So it's something that was there already. It's not something new. It's actually renewed or rebuilt or repaired. So that's just for for people that's in YouTube or Facebook that's looking that don't have understanding of that. Moray is not bringing this out of his head by just saying,
Right.
It's a renewed covenant. Because you see it says new. So, just like what he was saying, you actually have to look at each and every word to get the full understanding and look at the Hebrew perspective of it, and you'll get a better understanding.
Hallelujah. Appreciate it, Aki.
Mm-hmm.
Well, anytime you feel like you want to interject something, feel free. That's why you're up here. You're not just here to read. If you want to interject and give a little more enlightenment on something, feel free.
Hallelujah.
Appreciate that. Hallelujah. And so what we see is we're looking at something renewed. So with that understanding, if it's a renewed covenant and not a new covenant, and we know the original covenant was made with Yashra'al only, what do we think the new covenant and the New Testament is about? What group of people? Yashra'al only. And it's a shame we have to do these lessons, but we want to give our viewing audience understanding, because when you come up, you want to say that we're being biased or racist or something like that. No, you have no understanding of what you're reading. And that's what makes us sound like separatists, sound like we're biased or racist. And that's why I keep telling people, Christianity, the institution, religious institution, are very bad for people. They come up with an ideology or philosophy to draw in the masses with sweet and kind words. But at the same time, these masses end up losing their soul or take a chance at missing the kingdom because of that nonsense. And that's why we want to take time to go through these things so we can get people to just slow down. Pay attention to what you are reading. And that's the thing, because 90% of us in here, we've been through that movement. We've been into Christianity or these religious institutions. And we were doing the same thing till Yahuah said, wait a minute, you belong to me. And he showed us our call, showed us that we were Yashra'al. And so we had to sit down and reread and restudy everything. And when you do that, you find out it makes so much sense. Let's go over to John, Yahuah, the 11th chapter. We're going to start at verse 49.
Yahuah or John 11, verse 49. And one of them, named Caiaphas, being the high priest that same year, said unto them, Yet ye know nothing at all, nor consider that it is expedient for us that one man should die for the people, and that the whole nation perisheth not. And this spake he, not of himself, but being high priest that year, he prophesied that Mashiyach should die for that nation. And not for that nation only, but that also he should gather together in one the children of Elohim that was scattered abroad.
Okay then. So up in verse 51, who is that nation?
Yashra'al.
Be more specific.
So it's Third Kingdom.
The house of
Let's look at that again. 51. Matter of fact, read 51 and 52. I want y'all to pay very close attention.
Yahuah 11, verse 51. And this spake he not of himself, but being high priest that year, he prophesied that Yahusha should die for that nation, and not for that nation only.
Stop right there. And not for that nation only. That's what I want y'all, the southern kingdom. Who's the southern kingdom? The house of Judah. Caiaphas, the high priest, spoke under the influence of the Ruach when he spoke these words. He said, if it's necessary for him to what? Die for that nation, and not that nation only, but what? He should gather together in one the children of Elohim that were what? Scattered abroad. So, Yahusha came to do what?
Gather among those who scattered and bring together back one nation.
Die for one nation, and the other nation do what?
Bring them back together.
Bring them back together. So, we know the mission and the ministry of Yahusha was to die for the nation of Israel. Israel had been split into two kingdoms. Yahudah or Judah, the southern kingdom, the nation of Israel or Yashra'al, the northern kingdom. So we see what his ministry was about. It was about the regathering of the scattered tribe of the northern kingdom, the house of Israel. So, what happens when he brings back in one, or the scattered back with the remnant of Judah? Say it again.
Come together and become one.
They come together and they become one. What cannot happen until those two houses come together and be one?
The death of Mashiyach. The death of Mashiyach.
Let's do real good. What cannot happen until the two houses come back together and made one? Thank you. The renewed covenant. We are not under the new covenant yet. We cannot enter into that covenant until the two sticks or the two houses have been made one again. That's the whole purpose of Mashiyach coming. You know when he said, being that the house of Judah, or aka the Jews, rejected the good news, now it's sent forth to who? The Gentiles. This whole dispensation that we're living in is about the house of Israel. They are the Gentiles. Remember we went back to Genesis and we did show where Jacob blessed his, or not blessed, but prayed over his 12 sons. And when he got to Ephraim and Manasseh, he said Manasseh would be a great people, but Ephraim will be a multitude of nations. And we went to the Hebrew, we said that's Hamalah Goyim, which means the fullness of the Gentiles, or Ephraim is the fullness of the Gentiles. So, until this dispensation is over and the two houses are reunited, we are not under the new covenant, or nor can we enter into the new covenant, or I should say renewed covenant. So that's what Caiaphas, the high priest, is speaking of at this time. So let's go to the book of Esther, the 3rd chapter and the 8th verse.
Also, he said you're going to pick with them face to face.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
The book of Esther, the 3rd chapter, verse 8. And Haman said unto King Ahasuerus, there is a certain people scattered abroad and dispersed among the people in all the provinces of thy kingdom, and their laws are diverse from all people, neither keep they the king's laws. Therefore it is not for the king's profit to suffer them.
Okay, now who do y'all think these people were? It's Northern Kingdom. Yahuah 1:1, or James 1:1.
Yahuah or James 1 verse 1. James, a servant of Elohim and of the sovereign Yahusha, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, greeting. My brethren, count it all joy when ye fall into diverse temptations.
That's it right now. It's who was scattered? The 12 tribes which was scattered abroad. Because remember, when you get to a certain time in history, even after Mashiyach had come, and after Rome had began to take over Jerusalem, you remember a lot of southern kingdom, they got out of that land. Let's go to John 3:16 and verse 17.
John 3 verse 16. For Elohim so loved the world, that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. For Elohim sent not his Son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved.
Okay then. Which word is this talking about? Because most people think this is talking about this whole big globe that we live on, that they think this is the world. You know he wasn't talking to the world because he didn't come to the world. He went to his people. Then he turned around and told, he said, I pray for those that the Father has given him. He said, he don't even pray for the world. So, the covenant promise, everything leads back to Israel. Let's go over to Galatians 3 and 29. Because Galatians is a book that really throws a lot of people off.
Galatians 3 verse 29. And if ye be Mashiyach, then are ye Abraham's seed, and heirs according to the promise.
Is that if ye are in Mashiyach, ye are an heir of covenant of promise that was made to who? Abraham. So a lot of people have gone astray with that too. So as long as I got Jesus, I'm a seed of Abraham. I'm a part of the royal family, of the royal priesthood. That's what they like to say, the Christian church. Now, that's not so. What we're looking at here, Romans 9 last week told us the covenants pertain to who? Israel. So when we see this, people automatically think they're grafted in. No, they're not grafted in. So let's look at something right quick, because we talked about the 2 olive branches a few weeks back. And what most people don't know, the house of Israel and the house of Judah both have to be grafted in. He only divorced the house of Israel, but he cut both houses off. We can read about that in Jeremiah. He said the branches were broken. You got a question? Okay. Let's go, as far as I can, Romans 11 and 17.
Romans 11 verse 17. And if some of the branches be broken off, and you being a wild olive tree were grafted in among them, and with them partakers of the root and fatness of the olive tree, boast not against the branches. But if you boast, you bearest not the root, but the root thee.
Okay then. So what is he specifically speaking of right there? And who is he specifically speaking of? Read it again one more time. He's talking northern kingdom, but read it again. Thank you for that.
Romans 11 verse 17. If some of the branches be broken off, and you being a wild olive tree were grafted in among them, and with them partakers of the root and fatness of the olive tree, boast not against the branches. But if you boast, you bearest not the root, but the root you.
So what we want to get understanding on right here, although Israel or the house of Israel was wild or wild olive branch, they still were a part of the rootstock. It wasn't like they were something foreign. Now let's go down to verse 23 and 24.
Romans 11, verse 23. And they also, if they abide not, still in unbelief, shall be grafted in. For Elohim is able to graft them in again. For if you were cut out of the olive tree, which is wild by nature, and were grafted contrary to nature into a good olive tree, how much more shall these which be the natural branches be grafted into their own olive tree?
Y'all heard that? So the grafting in has nothing to do with the other nations. It's about both houses being grafted back into Mashiyach. Both of them was from the same rootstock and share the same parent stock or rootstock. That's why it's so easy for them to be grafted back in. See, most people don't